Often doubt is presented as the enemy of faith, right? It's something to be discouraged. And I'm suggesting that's not true. I'm suggesting that doubt is your friend. That religions have put a lot of emphasis on faith in the sense of believing core tenets about their religion. If you believe these things, then you're a member of this religion. And if you don't, you're not. But it's about belief, right? It's about belief in certain principles. And what I'm suggesting is that belief is just another word for not knowing. So when we believe something, we say, I believe in whatever. It means that we don't actually know. It's not actually our direct experience, but we have been told that's true. We believe that it's true. We hope that it's true. Maybe we're even afraid that it's true, but we don't actually know. And so what I'd like to talk about tonight is what the journey to awakening doesn't have anything to do with belief other than investigating any unexamined beliefs. It's really to use doubt to question. And I'm not using doubt in a dismissive kind of way, like, well, I doubt that's true, just sort of an unthinking dismissal. I don't mean that. What I mean is using doubt as a curious way to investigate, using our mental capacities to really dive into what kinds of things that we may believe as a result of growing up in a particular family or culture or religion or political environment or whatever, and questioning whether the assumptions that we've onboarded over a lifetime are actually true. So it's using our very human capacity to really investigate thoroughly. So in that sense, that's the sense I'm using doubt to say, well, I don't know, but I want to know. I'm curious about this. Is this actually true? And in this investigation to discover what we truly are, it is essential to doubt. It's essential to question. Question everything. Right? Leave no rock unturned. Doubt everything. Right? In the sense of questioning everything, I don't mean it in a negative sense at all. I mean it almost in a courageous sense, like being willing to question whatever it is that we don't actually know for sure, to really take a good look at that and to be willing to follow the breadcrumbs wherever they may lead, just to find out what's actually true. And in this idea of using doubt as a tool, really, in this investigation, the question may come up as, well, maybe I'll doubt too much. But there's an interesting, beautiful quote on the very first page of the Course in Miracles, and quite right, but close enough. But it's basically saying that what is essentially true can't be lost. It can't be lost because it is what you are. You can't become what you're not. And you can't not become what you are. It is what the essence of your being. So it's sort of like, if you were sort of panning for gold up in the Yukon back in the day, and, the object is, you put your pan in the gravel and shake it around, and you discard everything that's not gold. So that's the process, is you sort out everything that's not gold, and what's left is gold. So in this case, it's similar to the process of spirituality, is the willingness to discard everything that's not 100% true. I mean, if we're looking, if that's our goal, doesn't have to be, of course. We all get to choose. But if your goal is to find out what is true, really true, then anything that's less than that, anything that's only relatively true, we can just set aside and keep looking. So that's sort of the process, is to be willing to sort of drill down through our belief structures to see what's actually true versus what we hope is true or we fear is true or we've heard is true, somebody else said it was true. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is what we actually know for ourselves. So belief, in the quest for awakening, belief is like kryptonite. It'll take us on a detour. You know, we can hold something as being maybe true. Someone said it. Someone that I have a lot of respect for said this. Might be true. You know, one day I'll maybe if I'm looking, or maybe I'll stumble across a particular situation that will show me in my own direct experience that yes, that's true. Wonderful. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what the way I'm using the word doubt. Right? It's been used differently in different contexts. In Christianity, there's a famous story, maybe the most famous story of all about in all of history about doubt, when the Apostle Thomas, first saw the resurrected Jesus, and he questioned whether that was actually Jesus. Or actually a fairly reasonable response, right? But ever since then, he's been, for the last 2,000 years, he's been, known as Doubting Thomas, right? Got a bad name for himself over this one reasonable moment of doubt. But that it's also used in not only religions, but in many other fields as well, as something not to be encouraged, right? We want people to believe, we don't want them to doubt. Whether we're talking about doctors or lawyers or politicians, well, especially politicians, or we're talking about our own mind, right? Our own mind doesn't like to be doubted. It likes to be taken seriously. But it is exactly that holding on to certain favored beliefs that need to be questioned. So the other side of what we're talking about is the term faith. And again, in religions, what faith typically means is that it means a belief in a certain set of sort of core tenets for that, whatever that religion is. And if you believe that, then you're a member of that sect. But I'm using faith in quite a different way here. Instead of using it as something that, if I have faith that if I play by all the rules, that things will turn out in my favor, or I have faith that life will be as it should be, right? As I want it to be. Right? So I'm not using faith in any of those senses. I'm using it as faith in life being exactly as it is at every moment. And if that's the way we are holding, our deepest faith, a trust that life will be exactly as it is in every moment, first of all, we'll never be disappointed. Things might not turn out like we would like, that's true. We may prefer this over that, of course, but the deeper point is, are we willing to live life on life's terms? And that's really what's meant by surrender in spirituality, is being willing to live life on life's terms without an overlay of, but I want it to be like this. I expect it to be like this. I've done my part, and therefore life should respond by giving me what I want. It's not that at all. It's faith that life will unfold in exactly the mysterious way that it always does. And we may like it and we may not like it. It doesn't actually, life isn't that influenced by whether we like it or not. It tends to be as it is. And so having faith that it, in that sense, opens us up rather than narrows us down. Having faith that it will be as it is. But to arrive at that level of faith requires that we doubt everything else and look at it really closely. You can't get there, again, just on the basis built on top of belief and hope and fear, right? If our faith has a foundation of belief and hope and fear, it's not a very solid foundation. But if the foundation is built on questioning everything and seeing that none of what we truly question is absolutely true, it may be partially true, it may even be mostly true. But if it's not absolutely true, it's not really what is being pursued if our goal is enlightenment. If that's our goal, we shouldn't be satisfied with anything less than what's absolutely true. So by truth, first time I heard truth, Adyashanti uses the word quite a bit, and at first it was I had trouble with that word because what my mind was doing with it was that it was some idea or some perspective or some way of interpreting something. But it's not. It's none of those things. It's actually it doesn't have anything to do with anything that can be reduced to words. It's not an experience, no matter how cosmic it may be. It's not an idea or philosophy, no matter how profound it might be. And it's not even a feeling, no matter how sublime it may be. So it's easy to say what it's not. And it can't really be said what it is. But it is what you essentially are already, as is. And have always been, regardless of anything that's happened. So for the purposes of sort of coming into an alignment with life, having this kind of faith about life, sort of being willing to live life on life's terms, we arrive at that not based on belief, but based on this process of doubt, inquiry, questioning, to see that anything other than that is not entirely true. So by truth, here's what I mean by truth. I mean that which is true for all people at all times, under all circumstances. Right? And if there's, if we apply that honestly and rigorously, if there's anything more than one thing on that list, it's time for more doubt. Because what we discover after we've discarded all the gravel and what's left is the gold is just this sense of being, not as an idea, not as a bodily sensation, but just as that's how life is. It is how I experience that which experiences everything. My entire life experience is experienced as and within this sense of being. So that's the best I can do with words. But this faith, it's good to know that this faith and this doubt are actually, they're different. They sort of work together in a way, but they're different. They come from different places. The doubt is a very human thing. It's the way we use our mental capacity to really investigate all of the ways that we've been conditioned over the course of a lifetime to think about or see things in a certain way. And so that's what gets questioned. And so we can do that using the mental abilities that we have to really do that sincerely, objectively as we possibly can, and be willing to follow that wherever it leads. So that's a very human activity. Faith comes from a different direction, and I would suggest that faith is actually this sense of source seeking to experience life through your form. Right? So there's a sense of longing about that, wanting a sense of being deeply curious about life, entranced by the magnificence of this creation, and wanting to live that fully, express that fully, not as an exterior thing, but as a participant within the entirety of nature. And so the doubt helps us develop a solid foundation on which this faith is not a belief. It's just there's a solidity to it because we've investigated the alternatives, right? And we've thrown out everything that's not gold, and what's left is that. And we can't. It's not possible to throw out too much. We can't throw out what we actually are. So, and anything that, any ideas or beliefs, self-limiting thoughts, all of that is not what we essentially are. So all of that can be let go. We don't have to try to push it away. We don't have to deny that conditioning happened to this particular body-mind. But we can just see that it's not actually our most essential beingness. That's what really matters.